In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the activities that are not as commonly used in Moodle, but that I have used at various times in courses that I have taught. I'm not going to try to cover all of the different possibilities because I haven't explored them myself. But I want to begin with Big Blue Button. It's an opportunity, a way of including people online in a class session who may not be able to attend class completely. And I've used this to enable people who have to be away from the classroom either on a trip or on a particular day either because of other activities that are required of them, work or other family commitments, or in situations of illness, to be able still to hear the class discussions and to be able to contribute to the class. Skipping down to the database, this particular activity think of it as like a table where students can contribute resources in particular areas. These may be mediated files, or they may just be a particular collection of information on various topics. Because these are so widely used in different courses, the kinds of information that may be there vary quite considerably. But one of the notable things about the database activity is that it's actually students who are compiling the information, not just teachers who are providing resources to the students. So it allows for a lot of peer learning and a lot of individual exploration and contribution to the class. Skipping down to the feedback tool, this is a recently implemented tool in Moodle over the past couple of years, and I have used it when I need to get a kind of a question response for multiple questions. I started out by asking individual choices for students to respond to in the choice activity, but the choice is limited to just one question. The feedback allows me to ask a series of questions and to have the students respond. It's quite nice because they can respond. It takes maybe less than 2 minutes to fill out a feedback activity, and yet that gives me a lot of useful information in terms of how to direct the class in the future, things that students may feel like they need more exposure to or less exposure to, and it just gives an opportunity for the students to respond to me. It's kind of like filling out an online survey. The glossary activity is another one that I've used especially when classes require students to know a lot of key terms, where there's new vocabulary that they're learning. What I try to do is to encourage the students to identify those words that they don't know the meanings of and are continually having to ask for clarification on, to begin to compile a glossary, so that if a student doesn't know the meaning of a particular term, they can go to the glossary, and if it's there, they can see what another student has written by way of an explanation of that term. And if it's not there, they can, when they find a suitable explanation of the term, they can incorporate it themselves. So again, it's a collaborative work, it's a collaborative activity. There are courses in which students actually get graded considerably on the amount of contributions and the quality of contributions that they put into the glossary and the databases, if those are required in courses. Questionnaires are also possible. These questionnaires oftentimes explore specific content such as learning styles and student preferences as far as particular kinds of activities go and the particular things that they learn most from. The questionnaire is like a feedback, except the questionnaire again is just specifically on certain kinds of topics. Another activity that I've used a lot in classes is a wiki. The Moodle Wiki is a way for students to be able to work collaboratively on subjects, to prepare papers, to prepare research that they may or may not choose to present to the class as a whole, but to be able to follow their own research inclinations on topics that they want to explore. This is the way I've used it. Other instructors have actually assigned specific topics that they've had certain groups of students working on, and this benefits the entire class. Finally, the workshop. Workshop is a rather complicated activity that students will can contribute to. It allows for students to, say, for example, to do an essay and to submit that for peer review. Maybe you're in a class of 40 students and you might submit an essay to a workshop and have 3 or 4 or 5 students randomly assigned to read that essay and to provide feedback to you on how to improve the essay. The workshop is set up in ways so that the students don't necessarily know the other student who's written the essay. They're simply responding to the content, not the person. And their evaluative comments are also not connected to particular people. So it allows for a nice mix of peer assessment with confidentiality thrown in. And then instructors can choose how much of that peer assessment counts toward the final grade of the whole goal is to engage in peer assessment as a learning activity to increase one's quality and the quality of one's work. So these are some of the more common, or some of the less common activities, but ones that I have used in various courses that I have taught.